Hey, good morning. Good morning. Uh, Welcome to the Real Deal Sports Show. I am, of course, your host, The Fanatic. I'm hoping everybody is doing well on this beautiful Saturday morning. I'm here with the one and only Rad Man. What's going on, Rad Man? Good morning to you.
Good morning to you as well. Everything's great. Having a great morning. Good morning, everybody. Saturday, we ready to get it in. We ready to talk Buffalo Bills football. We ready to make this show happen as we always do. Talking sports of all sorts every Saturday morning, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Real Deal Sports Show. Go to realdealsportshow.com. Check the website out. Check out our picks for this weekend games. I got some winners. Hey, if you were with me last weekend, you would have won yourself a hell of a lot of money last weekend. Hell of a lot of money would have been won by you a week ago on the winner's edge. But next, we salute the Buffalo 10. Power to the Buffalo 10. You will never be forgotten. The first stage in that trial, that clown jerk and unhuman being type clown as was found guilty. But now we still got to go to the DOJ, the federal charges, and we'll see what happens. And I noticed he didn't plead guilty to those because they have definitely along with it. So he didn't plead guilty to that. He pleaded guilty to the first ones. You know, this clown should obviously never be on the streets again, and it's just disgraceful. But we salute the Buffalo 10.
Always in our communities, and that was again right. Just hit home for us. And I know your family grew up there. I went to Canisius College. You did as well, and right in our neighborhood. I remember again being right at that top. So just shameful and sickening, and I can't wait to see what's coming to him. What a terrible, like you said, dastardly act. So, but yeah, we always stand with the Buffalo 10.
Absolutely. We stand proudly with the Buffalo 10 for sure. No problem whatsoever. Always. Well, and also a shout out to the Brittany Iverson family here in Rochester, New York, after her tragic passing there earlier this week. A nurse and working in the healthcare field, in the mental health addiction field, and something happened there on the job, some type of assault or possible fight. It's still not clear of everything of what took place. But from all things, from what we've been hearing on the news, what a lovely young lady to lose her life at the age of 33 years old over some nonsense on the job, someone attacking a mental health worker, which is disgraceful. We need as many mental health workers as we possibly can, and let's make sure we protect them on the job so that nothing like this ever happens again. So shout out to Brittany Iverson. Rest in power, young lady, and your family members. Our thoughts and prayers are with the Iverson family and all of the relatives as well. This is a tragic thing to happen to this lovely young lady. College student at SUNY Brockport and graduate SUNY Brockport, the whole 9 yards. But shout out to her family.
Wow, Rad Man. No, I didn't hear that story, so that's why I love when we get to do this together. You always even surprise me, give me some great information. And I'll take one more dedication before we start getting into sports of all sorts. Want to go ahead and honor the birthday that just passed of Mr. Dennis Jackson, Buffalo's firefighter for over 30 years, seen and saved a lot of great people, was well known in his community, big into the firefighting world, and just saving everyday people and just being there, staple of his community. I know he loved his family immensely, loved his grandchildren. So I know it's tough, his first birthday without being here on earth. So I know his family definitely shouted him out. And I wanted to make sure that I shouted out Dennis L. Jackson, 30-year firefighter there in Buffalo, New York.
Absolutely. Love that guy. My brother-in-law, man, that guy was a real piece of work, real cool cat. Would not be duplicated, anything like that. They broke the mold when this young man was created and did his thing, 30-year firefighter, homeowner, landlord, the whole 9 yards. Rest in power, Dennis L. Jackson. Yes, indeed.
Definitely agree. Well, I know he was definitely watching those Bills. I know he wasn't cussing them out this week because the Buffalo Bills went ahead and they were in the marquee Thursday night matchup against their big brother New England Patriots, and they really handled their business. Bills defense wasn't inept. Patriots offense wasn't inept due to the Bills defense. But Radman, talk to us. What were your thoughts on the Bills versus Patriots game that took place on Thursday night.
It just shows you the type of team that when they put their mind together, the Buffalo Bills, they come together. They start. This is one of those years. Remember it began in the summer and the spring. Everybody, the Bills are the team to beat this year. Blah blah blah. Bills beat the team. But when the season starts, the season always takes a shape of itself. No matter what. Over the 35, 40 years I've been following the NFL from the 70s, from the O.J. Simpson era on, no season is the same. And usually 9 times out of 10. I can't even remember a season where the prediction was on point in a team. I think the only team really was the Chicago Bears that went on and was powerful. The New England Patriots team where they lost. The only game they lost was in the Super Bowl where the season went the way it was projected before the season starts. You always have some bumps along the road, and you just saw the Bills had a lot of bumps with injuries this season. The injury bug has hit them. But I tell you, my three takeaways from the Bills and after beating New England after that is what I said all along, the running game. Get the ball out of Josh Allen's hands. You notice they ran the ball 37 times and they passed the ball only 33 times. They actually ran more than passed. They did a little more than I even expected. I thought it would be 60-40. My recipe is 60-40, 60 passing, 40 running, because you have a running game. That's the first thing. You got good. Devin Singletary has always been good. People say, what's wrong with Devin Singletary? He doesn't get the ball enough. What do you mean? There's nothing wrong with him. Let him give him the ball, and let's see what he can do. And I thought himself, Nyheim Hines, they got to get Hines the ball a little bit more and get him in some screens and get him in some short passing plays to get him to use his speed. They were trying to run outside, and that wasn't working against the Patriots the other night, but it will work against other teams to get the ball to the outside. Number 2, the offensive line has been. Brandon Beane put a lot of money at free agency. He brought in Roger Saffold. That was the key guy, a 13-year veteran from the Tennessee Titans. Quisenberry, even though Quisenberry can't pass block to save his life, that guy is a run blocker. Quisenberry came over from the Tennessee Titans. He had to leave because he had cancer. He left. He beat cancer. Thank God he beat it. He came. He's back. And the Bills were able to pick him up. But before he left, he was with the Tennessee Titans as well. And they both were run blocking for Derrick Henry. That's why Derrick Henry was busting out. Derrick Henry wasn't doing it all alone. It was always the offensive line helped him get through there, helped open up the holes for him. And I've noticed Deion Dawkins and Roger Saffold next together, tackle, guard together. They were Roger Saffold had 3 pancakes in the Minnesota Vikings game, but the Bills went away from the run. If the Bills would have went to the run and then stayed with the run like they did at New England, they would have easily beat the Minnesota Vikings. And what an indictment on the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, they allowed New England to look like a great passing team just a week ago. I mean, they scored 26 points, and Mac Jones was throwing the rock out, throwing that football all over the field, making plays. And then you come back home, and he didn't even look like the same. I don't know who that guy was Thursday night, man. He didn't look like they didn't practice at all. It looked like they were a whole bunch of new wide receivers he had from the Minnesota game to the Buffalo game. But the Bills defense stopped them. And then lastly, the Bills defensive line is the strong suit of this year's Buffalo Bills football team. For the last 4 or 5 years, it's been the secondary with Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer leading the way. Those 2 guys are the best secondary guys in the league for the past 2 football seasons. They definitely should go up on the Wall of Fame for Buffalo, because those guys, for the long time, they held it down for as long as they could. But now they're in their 30s. Injuries have decimated those guys. Micah Hyde is out for the year after having neck surgery. Jordan Poyer, you see the difference. When he's on the field, he makes a difference in that secondary. But Daquan Jones, Tim Settle Jr., Ed Oliver, Boogie Basham, when they move him inside, those guys hold it down. They stop the run. Now you're able to see Tremaine Edmonds do what I've never seen him do before, and that's stop guys at the line of scrimmage, tackle guys for losses. He's able to come up. You're starting to see his ability and his agility on the football field as a middle linebacker, because I've been questioning him his whole time here in Buffalo as a middle linebacker, and he's showing us now that it's contract time too. He's showing us that he can play on that front, Fanatic, that he can play as a linebacker. We know Milano can play. Edmonds can definitely drop back into coverage, but he showed against New England the other night that he can come up and make plays at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, no, I've been really great 3 points, Rad, man. And I know you're giving your takeaways. It's perfect. You kind of were talking about the season overall, but the Patriots game. I would say a real big thing that was big is that I know we want to go to our Tremaine Edmonds interview so we can get that in. But I definitely would say your point about the Patriots offense look a shell of itself. Shoot, the Bills were so good they about to get some Patriots guys fired. Mac Jones definitely looked like he had never seen the receivers. He only knew Ramondre Stevenson. That was like the only person he knew that he played with. So really, really interesting. Really good points about the Bills throughout. The Bills really, really just flat out embarrassed New England. And right now, Bill Belichick, I know those handshakes have got to be a lot worse when he has to go shake McDermott's hand when he used to really kill the Bills all throughout his tenure as Patriots coach and even when McDermott started as the Buffalo coach. So
Exactly. Exactly. And we're gonna go to that interview just to get people in the audience of Edmonds. And this is Edmonds talking about the game and talking about the game the game the other night and how the Bills play. Bills linebacker Tremaine Edmonds.
That felt good. A lot of momentum changes, but we found a way to win, and that's what it's all about. Guys stayed together. We knew halftime that it didn't matter what the score was. We had to come out and finish the ball game, and we did a good job. Offense did a good job, and defense complemented itself. That's what the game is about, complementing football, and I think we did a good job with it. Not finishing that one at the end zone. You guys pretty much straight in yards. Right. Right. Yeah, it was a long drive for sure, but like I said, man, we found a way just to hold them to 3, and that was huge. Obviously. Was able to Gabe did a good job with the onside kick, and we was able to put the game away. So I mean that's what good teams do. They find a way to close the game out, and we did a good job. Guys did a good job of making plays, and resulted in us closing the game out. We just knew we had to make them one-dimensional. We know what that was. Obviously, we pride ourselves on stopping the run. It's not always pretty, but I think guys did a good job this week of taking accountability towards that and practicing hard and making sure that we got that assignment taken care of. So hats off to the defense, hats off to the guys up front, man, because that's the unit to get this defense going. Just all around. And guys made big time plays. You saw AJ making a lot of plays. Guys all around the defensive line, and those guys work hard each and every day, and they continue taking strides forward, and we will as a defense as well.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That was Tremaine Edmonds talking about the victory the other night against the New England Patriots. And his appearance on the show interview was brought to you by Miriam Rivera Insurance Agency, 1038 Lyle Avenue, 511 Bean Road, Suite B. Call her, area code 585-360-0094. Call Miriam Rivera. She'll get you auto, home, health, and life insurance. So, hey, if that time of year before the snow and accidents happen in this winter season, make sure your car is winterized, but also make sure your insurance and everything is taken care of. And Miriam Rivera Insurance Agency will do that for you with your auto, home, health, and life insurance as well. She's saving me and the Radman's family a hell of a lot of money. I guarantee you she can save you some money too. So give her a call, 585 area code 360-0094. Fanatic, what do you think of Tremaine Edmonds?
Yeah, to me that's interesting. The big thing that jumped out to me was complementary football. Anybody who's talking like that, those are winning organizations. Most times people are talking about, I just want to go ahead and our offense needs to worry about it. Nah, sometimes like the Bills, to me, their offense wasn't dynamic. They did just enough. They realized, they looked across the field. New England never, it was almost like a boxing match. Buffalo kept rushing in, being the aggressor. New England never jabbed Buffalo, aka threw the ball deep to get them up off of them. Everything Matt Patricia, horrible offensive coordinating game in particular on Thursday night. Everything was 5 yards crossers, 5 yards out. So the Bills were just all up on it. At some point, throw the ball deep. Why do you have a Tyquan Thornton that you drafted with one of your top picks to stretch the defense? Why do you have a Devontae Parker? Like the Bills were never backed up by the Patriots offense. So to me, the Bills defense realized, and the Bills overall, talking about complimentary in all 3 phases, New England inexplicably, Nick Folk missed a short 46-yard field goal early, right before halftime. That was a big one. The Bills looked across the field and said, they're not going to score more than 17 points tonight. We don't need to be dynamic. We don't need to be in the shootout like we were against Detroit on Thanksgiving. We just need to hold it down, get to 20-plus points, and we will win this game. And that complimentary football, it seemed to all play into that mindset that, again, didn't have gaudy, flashy numbers, didn't have gaudy fantasy numbers for those who play like myself, who had Josh Allen, or people who had a Gabe Davis. But that has been to me, complimentary football was the big thing that I heard from Tremaine Edmonds in that soundbite.
And we're gonna play this second soundbite of him talking about Tre'Davious White coming back, and let's go to that one right now.
Focus is on, just ahead. We're not looking back. Obviously, there's nothing we can do back on those games. I like to live on. You keep looking in the past. Now you're gonna trip going forward. So we just got to keep going, man. Each week is its own entity, and we just got to keep going. That's what this game was about. We can celebrate this one for sure, but come next week, man, we got to flip the page and continue to get better, man, because, it's not going to get any easier. So we just got to keep going and keep trusting the process. Good. It felt good. It's never good missing games, man, but, it felt real good. I'm healthy now. No setbacks right now. So, I just got to keep going. Continue to trust it, man. Continue to do what I got to do out the field as far as staying healthy. Trusting the trainers and just keep going forward.
You didn't get to play with Trey last week, having him out there even for a few more snaps today. What's that do for your whole?
Man, I think all of us, get a smile on our face when we see 2-7 over there, man. Just his playmaking ability, it speaks for itself. Obviously, we know what he can do, and just seeing him out there, man, it puts a smile on my face because I know everything he's been through. I've been seeing it day in and day out, just the hard work that he's been putting in, and he comes every day, with the mindset of getting better, whether that's training room, whether that's working on his technique, man, and he's doing everything he can to be out there on that field, man, and I see it each and every day. So, I take my hat off to him, man. It speaks to the type of character he has as a person, and it goes a long way. He was like that since I met him, and this is just a little bump in the road for him, and when it was a little bump in the road for him, but he's coming back stronger than ever, and like I said, man, I just take my hat off to him because I see the way that he works, and obviously that's a lot of adversity that he went through. And, I never really see him with his head down, man. He's always thinking positive, always on the positive side of things. And, that speaks to the type of person he is.
Absolutely. Speaks to the type of person he is. And this shows you how Tremaine Edmonds has grown. I used to interview, he was a terrible interview his second year, but I had to realize he was only 19, 20 years old at the time. He was a horrible interview. And now he's grown into a young man, a student of the game. And now, this man's giving some excellent sound bites, Fanatic, telling us, seeing 2-7 on the field. Jordan Poyer said the same thing, too. He said, man, it was unbelievable. He said, I looked over there and saw 2-7 out there was still on the field. He said, oh, man. He said, we get ready to get it here, man. And you could kind of see the urgency of the defense against the Patriots the other night. They were hitting, and they knew their coverages. And you notice you didn't see any blown coverages either.
Right.
Now Damar Hamlin is learning from Micah Hyde, who's still on the sideline acting as a coach, and Micah Hyde as well helping out, and they're making some excellent plays. That was some excellent hit that Hamlin put on. Unfortunately, it was a high hit.
Throw him out, man. He tried to put Jacoby Myers in a body bag, man. He tried to go old school NFL on that, man.
Yeah, that was old school, man. Hey, man, they got to do something. You got to hit them, but you got to turn your shoulders or something because you can't allow these guys just to go right across the middle like that. In mind, Damar Hamlin made him pay for that one, man. He's gonna get twice next game against whoever tried to go across the middle. But the defense, you see a difference with Trey out there. You see a difference with Jordan Poyer out there. If those guys can stay healthy, and guess what? If they can stay healthy, you got 2 divisional games coming up. We're going to talk more next week on next week's show. Would definitely be the day before the Jets game, and then the next week is the Dolphins. You get those 2 games. You got at Chicago, then you go to Cincinnati, and then come back to the Patriots to round out the season. I tell you what, those guys, if they can go that stretch, and then hopefully Von Miller might be ready to come back in the playoffs and give it a try for the playoffs, or maybe just to test maybe just give him a snap count type thing to see how his knee is holding up with a brace on it in some of those games. If he could go, that would just be an added bonus, especially in the playoffs, to have Von Miller. And with Kansas City having a few tough games coming up, and Miami and the Jets both finally, because remember, those teams are playing almost third and last place schedule, so they played a lot of ups early on. They're not week in and week out having to deal like the Bills have been dealing with this year. And then the Bills had 3 games in 12 days. I mean, man, they really stuck it on the Bills and said, yeah, you think y'all Super Bowl champions? All right, let's see what kind of champions you are. If we give you the 3 games in 12-day schedule. And they came through. It didn't look pretty, but the snowstorm got them. Then they got around the snowstorm. They got around the Cleveland Browns. Turkey Day in Detroit, they pulled that one out, and then they finished it off with the Patriots. First team to win all 3 games in the 12-day span in the National Football League. And that says a lot about Sean McDermott, Leslie Frazier, and the entire coaching staff. To get the coach these boys up, coach them up, and fill in with all kinds of guys, bringing guys in and out, rookies, free agent. AJ Klein came back playing well. I mean, they just plugging guys in, and those guys are helping to play the role, Fanatic.
No doubt. Hey, and I will say that, I know before we bring on our next guest, Mr. Chris Gardner, but before we go there, Brad, man, you're right, man. Maybe the Bills should play every game on Thursday night. They're the first team ever to go 3-0 on Thursdays. They won the opener, smashed the Rams, and then, of course, Detroit, and then again New England here. So Bills killing it on Thursdays. Before we go, Brad, man, so just talk to me real quick. How did you like the decision for Von Miller to go on IR? He was talking about that he was targeting the Jets game. Brandon Beane said, nah, let's chill. I guess he's not as worried about as worried about the number 1 seed, because you're right. Kansas City, just like Buffalo, they got some gauntlet games coming up, and finally Miami, the Jets, they're feeling those as well. But Kansas City could easily lose those games. The Bills have the head-to-head. The real question is, what do you feel about the number 1 seed versus Kansas City? And then what do you feel in particular about Von Miller saying he thinking the Jets game? Brandon Beane said, nah, dog, sit down for 4 weeks.
Very proud. I like Brandon Beane over the player. This was an excellent move by Brandon Beane. I applauded it when I saw it come through the ticker that he was placed on IR for 4 weeks. Because think about it, the Bills last year without Von Miller made it to the playoffs. They made it to the divisional round, not the championship game of the AFC, but they made it on their own without Von Miller, and I think they can definitely do it without him. But we need Von Miller more in the playoffs than we do in the regular season. And I think the guys are seasoned enough. They're getting coached up. Greg Rousseau, AJ Espinoza played very well. He's starting to look a little speedier. He's starting to learn these techniques from Von. He's been teaching these guys the techniques. Boogie Basham has been consistent ever since he's gotten here. He's really played very well. He's not a dominating player, obviously, but he's playing very well. But Ed Oliver really stepped his game up this season. And I think along with Daquan Jones coming in and Tim Settle Jr. helping Ed Oliver out, Ed Oliver can go, now he's not being double teamed anymore. You got to respect and watch out for Tim Settle. And I think the coaches are seeing that, and the defense is starting to really surge. And think about it. The defense played well against Minnesota. They should have beat the Vikings, and he darn sure should have beat the Miami Dolphins early in the season. The Jets game was the only shaky game I take on the defensive side. So I applaud the move. Give them 4 weeks off. Hey, give them 5 weeks off. We may not need them in Chicago. That might be muddy, icy, frozen field or something. Give them some time off. Because you think about it, you bring the next 2 division games, and depending on what the other teams are doing in the division, the Bills might be back in control of the AFC East by that time. But it's a must-win against the Jets and a must-win against the Dolphins the following week. So I applaud the move, and I think the Bills all of a sudden at 9-3 are, man, they right back in serious contention once again. That's what I mean. Up and down season, a lot of things happen. Throw the balls up in the air, they come down. You got a lot of injuries. Hey, so what? You got to make it happen. And the Bills, thank goodness, with the practice squad being at 15 players, they were able to bring in a lot of quality players from the scouting department on up. They bringing in a lot of guys. You still got Duke Johnson and some other veteran guys on that practice squad that you can plug in and play in some of these games as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, you hit the nail on the head in that schedule you laid out. Jets, Dolphins, Bears, Bengals, Patriots to finish out the season. So it's never a straight line. Usually it's an up and down wave. So
And
hey,
one last point, dude. This is the best offense. This is the best run offensive line I've seen in some years with the Buffalo Bills. This is it. Roger Saffold, Deion Dawkins. And look at the film of that Vikings game. Man, they were pushing guys up. And you wonder, why the hell is this guy throwing the ball, man? Give the ball to Singletary. You're going to get 3-4 yards just running on the left side of that offensive line. And on the other side, Ryan Bates. Ryan Bates is having a hell of a season, man, as a guard. They're not talking to you. The line doesn't get all the publicity. But, man, he was killing somebody the other night for the Patriots. Man, he was pushing that guy 2-3 yards off the ball. The line of scrimmage. If they can get Spencer Brown going, running in, and that's what you saw the other night. They ran it in between the tackles. Running between the tackles, and the guards are really playing well. Saffold and Bates are two of the better guards I've seen the Bills have in the last 5 to 10 years. In a tandem of quality guards, and that's due to the our front office, the scouts, Malik Boyd and his team, outstanding. Check them out. And matter of fact, I'm going to have a special profile on Black leadership. Malik Boyd will be later on in the season, but in this week's Challenger Community News, check out profiles in Black leadership. Eric Washington, Buffalo Bills defensive line coach. I have a nice interview with Eric Washington, a nice profile, and he played tight end at Grambling University for the great legendary coach Eddie Robinson, and he talks about the techniques that he's learned, the coaching, and how to be a man. He learned that from legendary coach Eddie Robinson. So check that out in this week's Challenger Community News at most newsstands in the community, free of charge in the community, at most businesses, Monroe Community Hospital, Strong Hospital, City Hall, county office buildings, Magic Wings, Hudson Avenue, Thurston Road. Check them out over there. Rock Palm Broker. You can check out Challenger Community News. So pick the Challenger up at most businesses in the community. If you want it, or go online to thechallengernews.com or 585-766-3590 for advertising opportunities for that. And I know we got our next guest. He's been waiting. We got to bring him on because we got hot topics to continue with him as well. Challenger Community News sponsors the next segment.
Hey, yeah, but this is the one and only, one of our favorite people to connect with and chat with. Appreciate you always getting up early for us. The one and only from our Houston correspondent, HoustonRoundBallReview.com. HoustonRoundBallReview.com, and definitely check him out on Twitter. Must follow. I love following his tweets, man. Always giving real insight that what the national news may not be saying. Always pulling us behind the curtain. The HR Review. Follow him on Twitter, the HR Review, the one and only Chris Gardner. What's going on, family? How you feeling?
I'm doing great, man, because y'all have some Ed Oliver news. That's the Houston Cougar right there. So I appreciate that right there because I'm an alum, and I'm a proud alum. I'm here to talk about the men's basketball team because, well, the Cougs football team needs to get a new coach. But that's another story. But anyway, glad to be on the show today, fellas.
Hey, man, appreciate you being on, man. Hey, let's jump right into it. Calvin Sampson, one of those unheralded coaches, been doing it for a long, long time. Everybody talks about, Krzyzewski retiring, Jay Wright gone. They still talk to Izzo up in Michigan State. They talk Calipari in Kentucky. Sampson doesn't really get the respect, I don't think, nationally. What's the feeling about the Houston Cougars there in the Houston area?
It's the most popular team right behind the Astros, the most popular team in the city of Houston. So the transformation of Houston Cougars men's basketball under Coach Sampson in these 9 years has been eye-opening, mind-blowing. I've covered the basketball team going on 30 years after I went to school at Houston. And guys, it is not an exaggeration when I say that before the new building for Tita Center, Hall-Fines Pavilion was dark. It was dimly lit. It was sparsely attended. There were games where there's probably more friends and family there than fans. Might have been more rodents and rats there than fans. So to see them come that far to being the number one team ranked in the AP and coaches poll for the first time since '83 when I was 11 years old it's a proud moment for me as an alum. But it's just a tribute to the job that the coaching staff has done in these 9 years.
Love it. That's excellent. And I noticed he was talking about racism the other day. How did that come about? What was that soundbite all about racism in America?
Yeah, Coach Sampson is on the board of directors for Eracism Forever, and each year they have a game throughout the college basketball landscape. Their game was against Norfolk State HBCU school from MEAC, and he was wearing the racism shirt. And I asked him about it in post game about the shirt because I'm also on the committee. I'm a committee member of the organization as well, so I knew nobody else was going to ask about the shirt. So let's be real. So I asked him about it, and he talked about it because Coach Sampson said point blank, some people believe that racism is over in this country. We know that's not the case. So it's still important to him, and he believes that there are a lot of college coaches in the country that are still trying to make an awareness of it and have a conversation about it to really eradicate it from society, because he wants a better society for his grandkids going forward.
Excellent.
Love
Excellent.
it. Love it. No, that's immensely important. Immensely, especially then with LeBron, what he was talking about with Jerry Jones and being really close to that area. So just, I guess, how did that come off? Like when you're in those situations, you knowing about it, but you look around the room and other people probably have no idea what you're talking about. How does it feel for you as a journalist when you're asking those types of questions?
I take it as responsibility because for the most part, I am the only African-American in the media room covering the Cougars basketball team. 9 times out of 10.
Still in 2022, you the only one.
Yes, sir.
In a big old chocolate city type, that's Houston. You the only one.
Yes, sir.
All right. And people think racism is dead, huh? All right.
Correct. Yeah.
All right.
Now, for that game, there was a second brother there. He just got credentialed probably that day, but he had been denied for a few seasons. And I had to talk. I spoke to Coach Sampson about it, and Coach Sampson made that happen. So there were 2 of us. So it doubled the African Americans in the room after that game against Norfolk State. So I do take it as part of my responsibility because, George, Max Edison and guys like Max before me, it was important to them. It's important to me. And if I have youngsters behind me, I'm going to make it important to them too, to keep this train moving forward, to make this conversation necessary until there is no racism, however long it takes in this country.
Absolutely, because like you said, it takes people like Max to bring people on. Here in Western New York is Wilson, brother Wilson from the Buffalo Evening News, brought people on, and he was a mentor to Pat Freeman, to myself, Pat Freeman, and it just goes down the ladder. It just bring it on up. And you have to have someone to bring the next person of color on. Just like now we have Jalen McGill, sports directing for the WHGLZ HD2, the Beat 105.5 radio station as well, and covering the Bills game, bringing him on into the press box. Because you're right, here in Western New York, it was only me and Pat Freeman for a long time, and now we need to add more color to the press box here in Western New York and all across the country. Because I'm shocked that in Houston it's only you and another. I'm not surprised, but I'm a little shocked that it's only 2 covering the Houston Cougars.
Yeah. And it's my alma mater, so I can say these things because I know it. But in terms of other sports teams in town, that's it. Because other teams do better. Like the Rockets have, my gosh, 5 or 6 of us covering them. Same with Texans. Astros have gotten better. But my alma mater when it comes to athletics, not so great. So if I have to do what I can to poke the bear, I'll poke the bear. I've been doing it 30 years. What's it gonna do to me?
Exactly. And good question for you. What's your take on LeBron James speaking to the media and asking them, really turning the tables on them, asking them, well, how come you're not asking me about Jerry Jones? Well, with Jerry Jones, that's an interesting topic to discuss. How come we're not asking me? You asked me about all other issues. What's your point? What's your take on that?
Because it does not fit their narrative they're trying to put across. That's why. They believe that we can only talk about us and things that pertain to us. We don't have any knowledge about other things, other topics. We're smart too. We read, we ask questions. We know what's going on in this world. So yeah, LeBron, why don't you ask me about Jerry Jones? I'm a Cowboys fan. Y'all know that. Media a lot of media just tries to fit in their storyline and go with their narrative to make their point.
Absolutely. And one thing, Fanatic and Chris, is that one thing I noticed with that Jerry Jones thing, it really Jay Will made a point earlier in the week. It really fills in the puzzle for me, as he stated. It's like a puzzle piece. Okay, he was at the segregation there in Arkansas, in Little Rock, Arkansas. He was right there on the steps. They got him looking, and he's there watching as the police bringing the black kids into the school. And people are saying, we've seen videos of it, audio with people cussing and saying all kinds of racial slurs to those young kids, to the young girl and everything coming into the school. And that might have been, I'm thinking if that was me, I'd be terrified looking at, police got to bring me in and people don't want me there. But that's just a piece that, okay, you were there. Okay, you were at the school. You go to that school, whatever the case may be. You're right there watching it. Now you see, and years later, you still, when Colin Kaepernick raised it, you coming here trying to change the narrative to make it talk about unity. No, Colin Kaepernick was talking about black people being killed by police and being mistreated by the police departments across the country. That's what Colin Kaepernick was about. And then you're going to tell your players, oh, man, that's bad for business. Anybody that kneels, that's bad for business. And when it's bad for business, you're going to have to go. Basically, if you kneel, you're going to be fired. You're going to lose your job. So, and then on top of that, you don't have the black coaches that he doesn't hire as a black head coach. He never considered Marvin Lewis, even though he did a Zoom session with Marvin Lewis, but then had McCarthy at his house the day before he even interviewed him for the job. He spent the night at Jerry Jones's house. So, to me, the racism and his mindset. He may spend money. I'm telling you what, he treats us really well. The media, the other flip side, he treats the media well. He treats his black players and everything well and treats them, yeah. But those are people like ownership type things. Like you don't own those players, but you kind of do. And his mindset is more on that ownership because he paid their salaries. Oh, you got trouble here, man? Here's some money. What you need, man? He like something like a ownership fraternal type thing. But when you want to talk about leadership and being in charge of something, his mind can't conceive a black man being in charge of anything that he's associated with.
Yeah. And that's a problem that we still face. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, most of us, we simply want a chance to succeed or fail based on our merits. Give me the same personnel you give a coach. Give me the same facilities you give my Caucasian counterparts that you would give. Give me a level playing field. And then if I can shine, let me shine. If I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. But don't start me behind, 40 yards behind the starting line and expect me to give you the same results that you gave the man who's way in front of me. That's what it's been in America and still is in a lot of places. That needs to change. We just want to succeed or fail based on what we can do. Period.
So true. So true. And that's why, and Chris, as always, you said, tell you if you're wrong, you're not wrong, man. You hit the nail on the head like you always do. And that's why we talk about diversity. And really, this segment is really important. Yeah, we're going to get back to sports on the field. We'll talk about the Texans because that's a great way to say, look at them, Lovie Smith, trying to, no Brandon Cooks, no LSU, Derek Stingley. How can they even really compete? And they're wondering why that team is looking like a bad SEC team. But the real thing is about the lack of diversity, the lack of diversity in ownership, the lack of diversity in the media room, the lack of diversity who are running these athletic organizations. Because you can start to realize, and again, in Jerry's mind, I don't think he's around people who are telling him, you might want to look at the world this way.
Right. You
might want to look at the world that way. And that's the issue. And that's the part about diversity. Yes, we need to get into ownership. But again, it's one owner versus what? It'll be 28 other owners because Green Bay had 32 teams. It'll be 31 or 30 owners who are Caucasian, and it'll be Shad Khan and potentially one owner of color besides Shad Khan. We could get it to that point. But it's about the diversity that are in the rooms that are connecting with the people on those levels, on the Jerry Jones level. Again, not more fraternal, hey, let me take care of you. It's more of the way, hey, let's change the way that you think. And hey, I'm on your level, quote unquote, to be able for you to see it, to say, you know what, you looking at the street that way, maybe turn your head just a little bit and you'll see a little bit more as you go down that road.
And that's the important thing, because too many of these folks deny what we've lived. Like we were making it up, our experiences. Like, why would we make up some of our discrimination that's happened toward us? Why would we do that?
Yeah.
Oh, Chris, you never experienced that. I just told you I did. Yeah. Oh no. Oh, Chris, you never go. Oh, okay. Whatever.
Yeah.
Once again, when I go on the road, I go to Final Fours, women's side, basketball games, college, some cities, I am the only person of color there.
Yeah.
In 2022.
It's crazy.
I'm just wrong. Big 12. We were talking about this on Thursday, another show.
Mm-hmm.
As far as we know, there has not been a person of color as a head coach in the Big 12 in women's basketball.
Wow.
The history of that, that's like 25 years of the Big 12. Think about that.
That's insane. Insane. And we know it's not that we're not capable,
Yes.
just we're not getting the opportunities. And because of great people like you, who national media, us up in West New York, me in Louisiana, we may not be looking at it in that regard. Glad to have you who are on a microscopic level to say, no, this is an issue, and we appreciate you for bringing it to the platform. Because that's an issue. How is that even possible? Like,
And I didn't think about it because, Houston is not yet in the Big 12, so I haven't spent that much time focusing on the Big 12. But the guest we were talking to, she covers Kansas, and we just got a conversation, and we were trying to figure out a person of color coaching women's basketball, and did not come up with one name.
yeah.
I mean, that's a problem. Come on now.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sports-
Is Kim still covering the baseball team?
Yes.
Houston
Kim
Astros?
Davis? Yes.
Kim Davis.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And that's another story because Kim cannot get a credential at Houston, University of Houston.
She couldn't get it. Why not?
She cannot. Yes, George. That's another one of us who cannot get credentials from my alma mater.
You kidding me, man? She has her own show, her own production company. She was an anchor on the local news, right?
Correct. And she get credentialed by the Rockets, the Astros, and the Texans, but not UH. And I figured that out. Make that make sense.
Man, we got to find who's running UH, man. There's something wrong going on over there at UH, man. Because she's a veteran news reporter, and she can't get credentials for UH. Yeah, something that UH is smelling themselves or something. They got something going on there, but they need to get things straightened out. That's appalling that a veteran news reporter cannot get credentialed there, but at the other professional sports there in the Houston area. And wow, you have everything. You have Major League Soccer and everything there too. So gosh, that's something that just shows you. I hope our listeners realizing when they say, "How come? Joy? How come you're not at this or this?" People don't realize that. Hey man, sometimes people don't credential us. They think we should be at everything because they see us at certain. They may see us at the Super Bowl, obviously each year covering that. And covering different events and covering our local team. But sometimes you'll be like, well, how come you're not covering the baseball team or the basketball team or the rap? It really is. And people got to realize it. And let's get more people in the field and get more people in positions of being directors of communication directors, and making that move in that direction. And that's the only way. Just like the other jobs, we got to put ourselves in the positions of power and positions of making the right decisions about making the decisions on other people that look like us.
Agreed.
For sure.
Yeah.
And
Talk to us. Chris, talk to us about, Deshaun Watson is coming back to town. That's a big one. Like, it feels big nationally. How does it feel on your end? Like, what do you expect the crowd to be? I've even read in some papers, they keep going back and forth, that some of his accusers will be attending the game to some way, somehow protest. What is it like there in H-Town with Deshaun Watson coming back?
It's tomorrow, December 4th. It is going to be huge. The media, national media, is going to try to take over the narrative from the local media at the game. But, colleagues Kim Davis and A.D. Moore, they're going to be there covering it from their perspective. It's going to be something. It's going to be a sight to see. So the football game may be an afterthought. Honestly, so we'll see how it all plays out tomorrow.
I look forward to that, and we're going to have AD on next week to talk about the aftermath of that as well. Because I'm just shocked that they would have him. Well, I shouldn't be shocked, but why would you have him? His first game back would be against Houston. Why wouldn't you have him come back? He could have came back this week. I know you don't want him to be on national TV or anything, and obviously this game is not a nationally televised game. But I'm going to be going over there to check it out to see what's going on. And I understand that 10 of the women that were involved in the case are going to be there. So I'm just wondering what type of protests or anything of that nature might be outside the stadium or even inside the stadium for this matter for this game tomorrow. So it could turn into a real circus or national media show off the field of play.
Mm-hmm.
As well. But I can't expect Deshaun Watson to be at his best tomorrow. Anyway, he's just now coming back. First time in almost 2 years of live competition. You saw that he was trying to shake off the rust in the preseason. You saw him look halfway decent, then he looked terrible. So it's going to take a while for him to come back. And obviously, the Cleveland Browns are willing to call this a growing spurt for their organization, getting him back, finishing off the last 6 games, and getting him ready for next season. Because that's really, and seeing if they get an outside chance of getting into they're in the hunt, but they may not be in the hunt long at 4-7. They definitely need to win a lot of these games coming up, and it's going to be almost tough for Deshaun Watson coming off a long break to be in tip-top shape that we know he can be in passing wise.
Well, we know what team is not in a hunt for a playoff spot. The 9-1 Houston Texans.
Yeah, perfect team. I know outside of everything, not the team you want to go up against, but hey, if you're Deshaun Watson, especially with whatever venom you may have against the ownership in that whole situation, hey, that Texas team, that's a bad football team. What's going on with Brandon Cooks? He seemed like he wanted to quit on them. He expected to be traded. Now he has a wrist injury, quote unquote. What's the deal with Brandon Cooks? Are they just going to get him the old school Terrell Owens conduct detrimental to the team and just send him home for the rest of the year? What's the deal with that?
Most likely, it's a bad franchise. Not that's a bad team. It's a bad franchise. Poorly run from the top down. And this is what you get. So, it's a sad state of affairs. The Texans have gone down the toilet like this for so long, and we're not sure how it's going to turn around and how long it's going to take.
Well, and last but not least, let's get back to the college basketball. Congratulations on the Houston Cougars being ranked number 1 in the nation. What's your take? Because last time we talked about the Houston Cougars, they were in the tournament, and you told me to save my money, don't bet on them in this game. And everything you said, why the reasons they're from point 1, 2, 3, and 4, there was the points of how they lost that game in the tournament too, Chris. So thank you for saving me a heck of a lot of money last season back in March Madness. Man, now how they go from losing in the tournament to all of a sudden being ranked number 1 in the country?
Well, they're healthy. They got Marcus Sasser and Tramon Mark, who missed January through March last season. The run they made last season, basically 7 players, was another testament to the job the coaching staff did, because they couldn't even practice 5-on-5 last year. So now they bring back Marcus Sasser, who's a potential first-round draft pick. They got a very stellar freshman class who came in, joined the team, and one of the first 5 stars, or the first 5-star under Coach Sampson, in Jarris Walker. So they got to upgrade in talent. So going to the Elite 8 last year with 7 players, and then bringing healthy players back and talent back. That's why they were ranked so high in the preseason. And then, other teams lost, so they moved up to number 1. They haven't lost yet. They play tonight against St. Mary's in Fort Worth. I'm going to head there shortly after speaking to you guys, go up to Fort Worth for that game. Going to be on ESPN2, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central Time. So that'll be a test for them. But then next Saturday, they host Alabama. Alabama was the last game Marcus Sasser played last season with a broken bone in his foot. But that game ended in controversy because of a goaltending not call, depending on who you're rooting for. So that game will be in Houston. It's sold out. Cougar fans have not forgotten that loss and how it ended. So they're hyped up about that. But first things first, the Cougs play St. Mary's Saturday night in Fort Worth.
Excellent. Y'all believe in playing early games? Because I know even football games are on at 11 a.m. noon here. You guys get up early to play. Y'all don't mess around down there.
Well, George, got to figure out a way to get people to come to the games. Sometimes, especially Houston Cougar fans are fickle, fair weather fans. You tune into the game next Saturday. It's going to be on ABC against Alabama, 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. You can still see how many empty seats will be at that game at tip-off. Despite the hype and build up for that matchup, I promise you that game will have empty seats at tip-off.
Wow.
Man.
Wow. That's all right. There we have it. And how can we stay in contact with you, Chris Gardner? How can people follow you on social media platforms?
Twitter, VHR Review, Houston Roundball Review on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Steven Silas, Rockets came through for him Friday night, beat the Suns by 1 point.
So,
Trying to save his job. So every little win helps him save his job. So that's a good thing. But yes, HoustonRoundballReview.com. Been doing it since 1994. Local name, global perspective.
That's right. And you tell it all. And it sounds like we'll get more on the Houston Rockets on the next go round. The Rockets look like he's trying to save his job. He had the job. He's trying to grow it. Just a quick synopsis of the Houston Rockets.
Young talent, inexperience, trying to learn on the job in NBA. And you young team, pro basketball, you're going to go through some growing pains. And that's what they're doing right now. But we get back to being fair to Coach Silas. When he was hired, he had James Harden and Russ. They wanted out soon after he got there. Last year, injuries all over the place. This year, they have 7 players, either first year or second year in the NBA.
Yeah.
How many coaches could excel with half your roster in their first or second year?
Come on. Yeah, let's be real. Talk to us, Chris. I like it. Try again. Let's have
setting them up to fail. That's what seems to be happening. Seems to be setting the young man up to fail. That's what seems to be going on there. And hopefully he'll be doing better and getting himself back together. Hopefully he'll be able to keep the job, because that's a perfect example of setting someone up to fail with that type of roster. You're just trying to grow the team. You're not trying to win the championship this season. You're trying to put them in position to win a championship a couple years down the road and pick up some other pieces and pick up some veteran talent that can help these young boys make the move to the next level. Correct, Chris?
Correct. And think about it. 7 first or second year players, out of the first 13 games this season, 10 were on the road. So
wow.
Who in their right mind would expect them to shine in that situation?
Right. You just can't do it. That's just not obviously it doesn't sound feasible. And last part, who should we watch out on that Houston team? Who you think right now is showing really good promise for a future? I know it's early in the season. Who you think right now is looking favorable for the Rockets?
Jalen Green, second year player. Alperen Sengun up front, second year player. KJ Martin, Kenyon Martin, senior's son, has been the most consistent Rocket. So those 3, and of course rookie Jabari Smith from Auburn. He's finally getting more comfortable in the NBA landscape, and his talent is beginning to shine through the more comfortable he gets on the floor.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming on Real Deal Sports Show. And we look forward to that. We're going to have you real. Now we're in basketball season, so we're going to have you back more often on the show, giving us updates, NBA, college, the whole 9 yards. If you want to know basketball, go on over to HoustonRoundballReview.com. Follow him on Twitter at HHR Review. Follow this man if you want to know what's going on in round ball. Thank you, Chris Gardner.
My pleasure, guys. You take care.
You too. All right. Next segment of the show is sponsored by Jack Green's Men's Shop. Jack Green's Men's Shop. Hey, men and women clothing, apparel sold there. It's coming up. Wedding season is ready to get going. Go see our Frankie, Mrs. Cruz over there, and she'll help you with the wedding gown and any accessories you may need for your upcoming wedding attire. Jack Green's Men's Shop, located East Ridge Road and Hudson Avenue Plaza, your one-stop shopping store for great events like proms, men and women's apparel store. Stop in, check out the crew. Frank Diaz, my bad, the Diaz family. Stop in and see the Diaz family over there at Jack Green's Men's Shop, and they will definitely get you suited. If you want to be a boss, they'll dress you like a boss. If you want to be casual, cool, and stylish, like happy birthday the day Willie Washington Sr. If you want to be cool and dashing like Willie Washington, where Willie Washington get his clothing from, it's Jack Green's Men's Shop. So stop on there. Frank Diaz been dressing the community for many years, and come on there, get yourself ready. New job, new appointment, whatever the occasion may be. Jack Green's got the outfit for you. Stop on through and check them out. I even got my eye on that corduroy with the leather sleeves, almost not a winter jacket, but almost a in between winter man. I mean, gonna have me looking like a boss down in Cincinnati when we head down to see the Bills-Bengals game, Fanatic. So Jack Green's Men's Shop, stop in, check them out.
I love it. I love it. Hey, sorry about that. I think I just lost my connection real quick. But I want to just at least the Houston Cougars, they got to make some big changes organizationally as a university. But the big thing for them is that I was thinking about the city of Houston. They have a black manager, and Dusty Baker. They got Lovie Smith. They got Steven Silas. So the city of Houston, they seem to have a lot of good at least they have some men of color to be coaches. So, but yeah, Rap, I know we're gonna get ready to wrap it. I just want to just shout out LSU Tigers. Terrible loss last week to A&M. No good at the way that they lost to A&M. Now that they are out of the CFP, the college football playoff. But hey, they can still try and salvage the season. They're 17.5-point underdogs to the Georgia Bulldogs in Atlanta at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. So it's almost a straight up home game. So we have one of our young correspondents, Nala Radney. But yeah, Radman, I'm gonna take that one. You let me know. LSU, we're in some struggles. Thank you, Nala. And but yeah, in college football wise, what do you think of USC losing last night?
I thought USC showed they're up and coming. It's going to be a couple more years for that team to get themselves together. The head coach brought a lot of his guys over from Oklahoma and picked up some other guys along the way. But next year, USC going to be strong with the portal. Utah put it on them again for the second time this season. I thought Utah has their number. They're just a better football team, and they showed it with a 47-24 stomping of the USC Trojans. I mean, they beat them. They were out. USC was already beat up, and they would beat up even more. And that leads me to begin. Why are you going to have 12 teams in a tournament? Are you going to start early August? To me, you got to play less than 10 games and then have 9 games, something like a 9-game schedule, and then have a playoffs. But to me, that's way too many games for college students. And the injuries that you saw USC sustain, that wasn't just from last night. That was from the week before, and the week before that. Those guys are playing too many games in college, and that needs to be addressed. And I thought that's why they had it only a 4-team tournament. Now all of a sudden they're going from 4 to 12, but I don't like that at all. That's way too many teams. Way too many injury opportunities, and because football is a violent game. It's not like basketball, which is more you get more stress on your joints from running up and down the hardwood court. It's less a physical game. It's more of a endurance and running and cardiovascular type sport, basketball, because you're running but you're not hitting anybody. Football is a very physical, brutal game, and to subject these young people to 12 games and have already some of these teams are playing 13, 14 games in a season, which is ridiculous. For Kyle, how about your studies? How about your book work? How about all of that? The travel, the hotel rooms you're in, studying, all of that. I know they have Zoom and all that now, but come on, that's an awful lot for these young people to endure. That's why the pros get paid what they do get paid for. So I look for Georgia to win that one. I look for Tennessee to beat TCU, not Tennessee, TCU to win their game. I think TCU is playing. They're the weakest team of the teams. They're talking in the top 4. But now you're going to talk about adding, 6 other weak teams, 8 other weak teams? Because you know every year it's going to be, even in the top 4, it's always a team that has an undefeated season that doesn't play a lot of good teams, a high profile team. TCU, hey, if they win, I think they'll win today. They'll get in. But did they play the strength of schedule? No. But they're in there, top 4. If you're gonna go to 12, you're talking about several TCUs in there that really, come on, man, come on. You're trying to make a money grab, and that's a ridiculous money grab they're trying to do on the backs of the college athletes that you're not really paying them the money they deserve, because the money you're bringing in is 100 times more than what these guys are even getting through the NIL program or whatever the case they're doing. Come on, get it back to 4, maybe 8 at the most, or 6 or 8 at the most. But 4, I would just keep it the way it is because, you're going to weed out the bad teams anyway. And it does. It weeds out most of them. Most of them are weeded out. If people were talking about USC was going to jump in there, USC got blown off the field. Come on. So USC, it usually weeds out the pretenders anyway. So it should stay at 4. I think that's ridiculous going to 12.
Yep, Rap, man, I couldn't have said it better. I know we get ready to wrap it, but yeah, to me, it's just further exploiting the equity gap. Now you're going to play these extra games off the back of the kids. The kids aren't going to really make any more money, the same money that they're getting with the free education, but yet these institutions are going to get paid in eons much more money because now they're playing more primetime games. The ESPN contract, NBC, CBS, all of those Fox, those contracts are all going to be worth more. And then to your point of, I love these games because really the Michigan-Ohio State, that was a playoff game. USC, Utah was a playoff game last night. If you don't do those, if you do those and it's just a 12-team playoff, they're still getting in. It just takes some away from those games, man. And that's what makes those games special. It like LSU losing to A&M. We know that ends the season. That was our playoff game. Now we're just trying to finish it out. So go Tigers in Atlanta. I know we have a big fan base there. Obviously, Georgia's right at home. So we shall see. Brad, man,
Winner's Edge. Check out the Winner's Edge on the website, realdealsportshow.com, realdealsportshow.com, YouTube as well. I'm going to give you a couple picks for this week's tomorrow games. The big game, I like the 49ers defense stopping the Miami Dolphins offense. Take the 49ers +3 or -3 in that game. I think they're favored by -3. Take the 49ers in that one. I also like another big game. I like the Titans and the Eagles. That's going to be a good one. Titans-Eagles is going to be a very good game. I think that Titans running game will somehow find a way. This is one of those games where the Titans always seem to, just when you think they can't do it, take the Titans in the points in that game against the Eagles tomorrow as well. Also, you got the Chargers-Raiders, which is always a drag-down, throw-down fight. I think the Raiders are starting to up and coming. I think the Raiders will defeat the Chargers. Excuse me, Raiders defeating the Chargers because the Chargers are injured. Their wide receivers are hurt again. Herbert is a good guy, but he isn't all that in a bag of chips as of yet. I got to see more of this guy. He's okay, but no, come on, man. Come on. Don't hail him the next big guy. No, we got to wait on him. He needs a running game too. And Eckler is good, but they need somebody else to support besides Eckler. Eckler can't be your all-in dog. He's too small. He makes the runs, but he gets dinged up a lot because you're asking him to do so much. So take the Raiders in that one. Chiefs, Bengals. Man, I don't know if the Bengals, we're going to see, do the Bengals really have the Chiefs number? I think the way Patrick Mahomes been talking all week, they really want to win this game, and I'm gonna go with the Kansas City Chiefs pulling the upset and seeing how much it's going to take out of them because the Chiefs got a couple more tough games coming up the next couple of weeks too. So it's going to be a very good contest in Cincinnati, but I think the way Patrick Mahomes is talking, he's going to will his team and find a way for his team to win tomorrow. Those are just a few of the picks. Go to the website, realdealsportshow.com. Check out Winner's Edge page, and you'll see all of the Radman's picks. And I mean all of them for this week. And boy, speaking of cream puffs, last one, this is for backspin, Cowboys over the Colts. I don't know how that even a Sunday night game. Why is that game being tough? With all these other good games at 4 o'clock.
Great games this weekend.
Why didn't they move this one? Why didn't they use the move this game out? But they kept this. Whatever the Cowboys seem to be on, they don't move the Cowboys that often.
Nah, well, no, it really they only put it to the primetime game because that game could have easily. Because look, to me, this folks is the best Sunday in the NFL. Just that 4 o'clock window, you got Chargers, Raiders, you got Chiefs, Bengals, and you got Dolphins at the 49ers, all in that 4 o'clock window. Man, that would have been nice to bump the Colts to Cowboys. Move that game into the 4 o'clock window where we could watch a little bit. But man, it's going to be some really great games. And you took some of my picks. I love the Titans, the Commanders. I like them as well. Giants just being decimated. I like the Jets +3. But my big one, I love the simple. I love the over-unders. I love the Packers, Bears. Justin Fields is back over 45. That seemed to me is my lock of the week. Packers, Bears over 45. love that as they play on Sunday.
Over 45. There you have it. If you want to win some money, keep listening to the show. Check out the website because we won people a hell of a lot of money last week. And yes, let's free Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner, you will not be forgotten, as well as the Buffalo 10 will never be forgotten. We want you back on American soil and at home, being free in what we call the USA of America. Free Brittany Griner. We won't forget her, and we're gonna stay on top of things as well on Real Deal Sports Show. Right, Phonetic?
Right, you know it. So we'll hold it down until next week. As we always say, be a good sport. Check out the Winner's Edge. Like, comment, subscribe to us on YouTube at Real Deal Sports. Hit the bell to receive notification icons. We're your weekly source to pull you behind the curtain, let you know about things locally and nationally. Check us out. You can subscribe to us on Facebook as well. Love to hear us. Comment on us. Let us know what you're thinking, what you're feeling. We'll love to have you. And until next week, we appreciate you. Everyone be safe. As you always say, be a good sport. Let's go Buffalo. Let's keep it going. Rabbit. Keep up the great work, Rabbit. See you soon. Backspin will take us out next week.
Take care, everybody.
Peace.